Okay, guys. This is a poem by a man named William Blake in the 1800s, named "The Sick Rose," and it's probably one of my favorite poems all time. For a couple of reasons, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But this is how I'm going to show you a very simplistic way to kind of break down symbolism. So what I would do is, as I talk about each line, write down that line and kind of what I'm doing. Do that in your spirals. So if you need to pause the video, you can do that at whatever point, and then we'll keep going. Okay, so when you're trying to decide whether or not something's a symbol, and I realize that poetry is a little bit easier for this, right? Because their poems are short, you know, as opposed to reading like a whole novel like Lord of the Flies. The first thing you always want to look for is like an important object, right? And so in the first line, rose, right? So I'm going to highlight the word rose, okay? And then what could a rose be? So literally, right, if we're talking literal, a rose could be let's see if I can do this. Oh, we're gonna expand this just a little bit. So a rose could be either a name, right, or it could be a flower. Fair enough. However, if I'm talking about figuratively, like symbolically, right, then let's change the color to green. Then rose could be love, right? Like when we think of a rose, we think of love. The next important word is sick. Thou art sick. So I'll highlight this in yellow. And if you're writing it down, I would just underline it in one color. And sick could mean ill. Sick could mean evil, right? But symbolically, what else could sick mean? Sick could mean like mental, right? In the next line, invisible seems like a pretty important word, and highlight that. So invisible literally means can't see, can't be seen, right? But then figuratively, when you feel invisible, right, you feel like no one cares. Sorry, no one cares. Worm also seems like a fairly important word, right? Literally. Whoops, that did some weird things right there. Okay. Worm literally is an invertebrate. Figuratively, change back to green. If somebody's a worm, they're kind of like sleazy, right? Slimy. No good. Flying. Flying could be literally moving through the air, right? But figuratively could be like happiness, elated. In the night, night is important. So night literally is a time of day. But often figuratively, we talked about this with the notes earlier, night could be evil. It could be a transition to evil. In the howling storm, so howling literally is a outcry, right? And then figuratively, someone howling What could that mean figuratively? Like pain, perhaps? Storm. Storm was also in the notes we took earlier. Storm literally could be weather. Figuratively, it could be what? Maybe troubling times. So this is, I don't want to make this video too long, but I want to show you that you can look back and see, do we think that this poem is about Rose, a person, or do we think that they're personifying love? Like, oh Rose, thou art ill. Or is it love, thou is evil? So see, you can take these symbols and you can mix and match them. Rose, the name, maybe Rose is evil. So what I want you to do is just in your notes at the bottom, go ahead and do the same thing. And I'll move this box down just a little bit so you can see the last line. Go ahead and do the same thing with the last 4 lines. These are the only 4 lines in the whole, only extra 4 lines in the whole poem. And go ahead and break that down, and then we will talk about that the next time we meet as a group. Okay?